You're listening to Radio 2 from the BBC. That was Lou Reed, Vicious. I'm Russell Brand. This is the Russell Brand Show. We've got an incredible 2 hours coming up, right? We'll be talking to Noel Gallagher, Matt Lucas and David Walliams from Little Britain are going to be on the show. John Ronson, the journalist and writer, he's going to be turning up here. I am joined, of course, by Matt Morgan. He's in charge of the buttons to run this radio show. Are you all right, Matt?
I'm very well.
And, of course, Trevor Locke. He's doing a series of social experiments over the run of this radio show. Are you all right, Trevor?
I'm very well. Good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Trevor. Now, we used to be on BBC 6 Music. We've been, I suppose, you know, let's call it promotion. We've been promoted to Radio 2. And I suppose with a brief to bring enlightenment and joy wherever we go. That's what we're charged with. So we thought, let's talk about, on this show, I thought we should talk about class, right, and times where your class, your social class, has been embarrassing for you, times where you felt awkward and out of place. So that will be the theme of this show. If you can think of a time you felt a bit awkward and out of place on account of your social class or lack of social class, perhaps you're a member of a caste system, perhaps you're from another galaxy altogether and you feel awkward on that account, just let us know about that stuff. Oh, right, yeah, you can call us on 0500 288 291, or you can text us on 88291. Or, I mean, there must be other ways of communicating with us, but those are the primary means. I suppose you could just sort of dream thoughts at us and just Email us, russell.brand@bbc.co.uk. Yes,
you should
the internet.
think of emails before dream thoughts at us.
I think these old dream thought telepathy system, Matt, have been underused in our culture, and that's perhaps what's made us also inhibited. So, right, I think, first of all, let's start this show with a little bit of the Smiths. Then we'll get into this talking about class and stuff like that. We'll get to know each other a bit better. But think about that, what's coming up over the show. Trevor's going to go out and do a social experiment. We're going to be talking about times we felt awkward on account of our class. Noel Gallagher, he'll be listening now in what he constantly refers to as his country pile with his lovely girlfriend Sarah McDonald, who still ain't realised what a dreadful situation she's got herself trapped into with that boorish loon gambling round his bleeding estate. And then who else have we got? John Ronson. I've been reading this John Ronson book of his, Out of the Ordinary. He talks about the quotidian but finds extraordinary experiences within that. He's very good at all that kind of thing, and of course he's done all those TV documentaries about conspiracies and Tottenham Taliban and whatnot, so we're about to learn loads from him. It'll be educational. We've got to raise our game. Okay, we're broadcasting to the nation now. I'm talking to you particularly, Matt.
I've got a whole new set of buttons to press.
Have you? Matt's got a whole new set of buttons.
Terrifying it is.
Trevor's competition that we used to do on 6 Music, that's been abolished now because the standard of it was not high enough.
Gutted about that. I've only just found that out.
I know, sorry.
What a way to break it to me. On air.
In a cruel way.
10 minutes into the show.
The way Phil Collins dispenses with wives. So I've read, that might not be true. We don't know that, but I did once read that he faxed his wife. Faxed his wife to inform her, like, that relationship's over now. That's what I once heard.
I'd have appreciated a fax.
A fax would have been nice.
It would have been
fax would have been a step up the ladder, wouldn't it, Trev?
You wandered into dangerous territory there.
What, by saying that about Phil Collins?
Hearsay.
Yeah, we might not have done that. I like him. If this was to become a legislative situation, the brief would go, yeah, but he did then go, I like him. Oh, that's fine, yeah, let him off. I'm going to write another I Can Hear It Calling in the Air Tonight style ballad about Russell Brand and him drowning. Alright then, let's listen to Still Ill by the Smiths, shall we? Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we listen to the Smiths? Listen to these words, see what they mean to you inside yourself. Oh, and there's that football chant thing. The football chant thing we'll talk about. We're designing and writing new football chants to enliven the terraces around this great nation.
Don't drag us into this.
Alright, I'm doing it. It's my dream. Let's listen to Still Ill, the Smiths. We've got loads of things to talk about. This is Radio 2. That were the Smiths, Still Ill. You're listening to Russell Brand on Radio 2. Thank you for all these messages of support. John in Blackpool, that was nice of you. Larry in Derby, Jenny May in Ireland, thank you very much
You're just going to say that?
What?
Not going to tell us what they said?
Alright, John in Blackpool goes, good luck with the show, please mention me, because I always listen to the old show. I thought Matt Morgan slowed you down. Be very surprised if you took him to Radio 2. Larry from Derby says, Trevor Locke surely won't have made the cut. See, this is what I spared you this, because I tried to protect you like a benevolent dictator, such as you might find in, I don't know, some South American country. Don't know much about stuff like that. Right, so those emails make me feel dead welcome. It's welcoming, isn't it?
Sad.
Yeah. I made up those bits. I was just being silly. I was just being a real wag about things. Right, it was nice and welcoming. What weren't so welcoming was when me and Matt arrived, right, the security guard, right, and it's in the same building as 6 Music. Franklin, the security guard, right, greeted Matt like he was a returning hero, right, from the American Civil War, and goes, and then he goes to me, goes, right, who are you?
It's because I brought my ID card.
Oh, you had that card that we had to have that photo done for, that magnet thing what makes the doors open like a robot door.
Yeah.
Okay, well I goes, I've not got my one of them. And he goes, what's your name? And I goes, Russell Brand. He put down Brownie R. He'll be listening in reception. Franklin, right, you embarrassed me and now yourself. So from Brownie R. And then I'm visiting Matt Morgan. I've been diminished to your visitor. That is the status I've been given.
Know.
So,
Brownie.
Can you not refer to me as Brownie? Because it's our first
Must be
show.
a girl guide by now.
Well, I'd certainly earned my badges, let me tell you. As the sparks flow and I rub my sticks together, dear. That's Cubs. I don't know what goes on in Brownies.
You
Why
don't know
would we?
anything about all that, do you? You were at stage school.
Oh, not all the time. Only when I was 16. I didn't emerge from my mother's womb, grab hold of some grease paint and go da 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 da.
Did you?
Actually, yeah, I did.
You must have had some breakfast first.
It was a review show that was going on in the uterus, to tell you the truth. I was preparing. Right, so yeah, let's all feel at home and enjoy being here. Let's think about these things, times where we felt out of place. Because we've been on Radio 2 before, of course, when we looked after Mark Radcliffe's show. He said we'd done a sterling job of it as well. He said we'd done great work. Never had us back, of course, afterwards. But let's not take that to heart. And I've been on Jonathan Ross's show before, and I've been on Stephen Wright's show. And as you know, I'm a long-time admirer of the buff, muscular torso of Wogan.
That is just computer graphics.
Please, Matthew, don't shatter these illusions to which I cling. These are things that I need. Right, let's think about times when, like, class has made us feel all out of place. Ears are top. Right, so, because we work in media, right, sort of, I am, like, from Essex, from a relatively modest kind of background. Because I work in media, I sort of go around acting like Bill Sykes. Oh, right, cool, blimey, love it, that'll stripe you, right? But, like, when I'm in sort of environments that are much more authentically working class, like I had to work for down a building site as part of a television programme, you know, well, I didn't have to do any real actual labour. Like, I've sort of realised, okay, you're not going to get away with that. Them glottal stops will get you in trouble round here. So first of all, I sort of tried to use my sense of humour. That cut me no ice with them builders. That was
very discerning men.
Very discerning men. They saw through that rhubarb. And then the next, next in my social artillery was I'll flirt with them and act all like dead camp. And by sort of
That's hardly part of an artillery. That's the wrong word.
Yes, it is artillery.
Camp. Flirting.
My cows, righto. I've got a missile of camp that I'm going to blow right up you. I think it's a perfect use of. That's a good analogy, right? And I sort of ended up asking one builder. I ended up going to him. So, are you married? Are you? Well, big handsome chap like you. I've just made everyone on the building site feel really awkward and stuff. So, like, what I think my position in terms of class is, I sort of always feel a little bit out of place. There was one occasion.
It's relative.
So it's relative. Class is relative, right? Yeah. Like sometimes I feel like a forelock tugging greengrocer. What's that, dear? like you know, if I'm say I was with I don't know Audrey Ep.1 or something. No, because she's famously is Eliza Doolittle. She bounces right up and down the class ladder, doesn't she?
I don't think you're going to hang around with her. Get on with it.
With Audrey Hepburn, don't think
I'm Audrey Hepburn.
Hold on a second. Really, what I wanted to mention is there was one occasion where sort of I was with these, I was in this pub, right, and this is when I used to drink. I was down in Swanage, and there was these rowers. It was a team of rowers, and I was like talking to a woman in their company, and one of them said sort of like, yeah, why don't you clear off, right? And I thought, what I'll do, knowing these people are rowers, they're bound to be right toffs, is I'll act as if I'm like some psycho maniac drug dealer. I went, oh yeah, coming in, smash the glass, started brandishing the glass, being all menacing, but they were rowers, up fit, healthy lads with big shoulders, right, and the bouncer, for my own safety, had to drag me out of the bar and prevent me. They pursued me through the village of Swanage with torches, and I had to hide in people's gardens.
Burning torches?
I think they were actual sort of proper torches, but the image was it was like Mary Shelley imagery.
Like a lie then for a minute.
No, honestly,
I was ran all the way up to the castle on top of the hill, banged on the door.
I damn near regretted making that zombie man creation of mine. Yeah, so like that's my examples. Now, Matt Morgan, we recently went and stayed in a beautiful luxury spa, didn't we?
Yes.
Shooting Glen. I am now one of those types of one of the sort of advantages of my chameleon-like ability there is that whatever class I'm with, I could breakfast with a duchess, then have a mug of tea with builders as long as they didn't mind me touching their bums, and I'd fit in each of those social environments.
Newspaper orders, The Sun and The Guardian.
The Sun and The Guardian. Wow. There you are. See. Right-wing manipulative newspaper like The Sun, then lovely woolly liberal Guardian. Matt Morgan though.
I was more terrified about money at every second.
What, at Chewton Glen, the expensive spa where we stayed, luxury, lovely spa.
Lovely place, yeah.
Expensive though.
I just thought every time someone offers me some help or gives me something, then would you like any papers in the morning? All my brain's thinking, oh God, that'll be £100.
Yeah, you didn't understand even the simplest offers though, did you? Right, like, you know, where if you're at a hotel, like in the evening, a maid comes and goes, oh, it's time. Hello, sir. Would you like me to do turn down?
No,
like,
what happened was I was playing music in my room quite loud. This woman knocked on the door, and I was thinking this must be a bit loud.
She
knocked on the door. She goes, "Would you like me to turn your room down?" So I thought,
close the curtains, fold over the duvet. He panicked. Oh crap! Oh, I'm ever so sorry. I don't belong here. He said, shoving his dirty socks into his duffel bag. I'll leave right away. I was never supposed to be here anyway. No.
Yeah, I felt pretty out of place there.
Yeah, you did, and you seemed it as well. What about on that other occasion?
What do you mean?
You just seemed out of place. Me though, I was like a right.
He walked around in his pants in the corridor. You're allowed to walk around. No, you shouldn't.
People like stuff like that. They thought I was a lovable eccentric.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, then there's another bit where I had given him a shirt to wash, and they returned it to the room, and he was in my room, and they goes, here's some pressing for Mr. Brand. He thought that they said, here's a present for Mr. Brand. I was all jealous. Where's my present? Don't I get a present? All confused.
When did you get so at home in these places anyway?
I don't know where I've got this class from. I sort of went from being poor to an absolute snob in like the beat of a heart, in the flap of an hummingbird's wing. What about you then? What other events were there where you was all embarrassed there, Matthew? You didn't look right in that dressing gown that he was wandering around in either.
No, I got into it.
He looked like old man Steptoe scratching himself in the corridors of that palatial hotel.
When we hired mountain bikes and you were too scared to go up a curb?
I was not. I just felt a sense of trepidation when I kept just looking through his list of notes he's made about Chewton Glen. Oh, well, you were afraid to bump up a curb. I just felt it's a while since I'd ridden a bike, and like it's a bit, it can be
Fair
a bit.
enough, you can
he embarrassed me at this
buckle a wheel.
Hey, I put a sticker on it. You know the Guardian gave away those little stickers of animals, right? I put a picture of a monkey because his girlfriend came and I was just down the corridor.
I don't have a girlfriend, I'm a single man. Don't attack my core market.
Okay. So I stuck a sticker on his door of a monkey.
Yeah.
Just as a little joke. And then, when I went out for a bike ride, because they hired bikes and you can get away from the calamity of it all and go off into the woods, I came back and there was this letter in my room. He had gone through the newspaper and created a
collage, a brilliant collage, such as a psycho might have done.
You can't even read it out, it's so rude.
Right, some of the words are, I alluded to the fact that there was a sex offender.
Dangerous sex criminal in this room, basically.
But I used more specific words cut out from newspapers.
Picture of a little monkey on a man's back. Picture of Ian Beale crying for some reason.
I put that and it was all newspaper clippings on his door, and it looked menacing, because if you see those, because that's how ransom letters are constructed, aren't they? So there's a faint air of menace.
Matt, you looked really out of place at that hotel. Things like that happening to me. And look, they sent me a letter saying, "Dear Mr. Morgan, please find enclosed your newspaper cuttings."
So someone had found that and thought he's put that on his door himself, put it in an envelope and placed it under his door. Oh, I was worried. I thought, oh no, I hope it's there long enough for him to see it. I hope he gets to see this brilliant jape. You put an orangutan on my door, I'll put this make you look like a sex criminal collage on your door, one of yours to the hospital, one of yours to the morgue. It was that mentality. But it turns out a member of the hotel staff found it, put it in an envelope and put in this accompanying letter.
Some sort of advert.
That's brilliant.
We have removed it from your doors. We need to take into consideration our other guests. I'm sure you'll understand our position.
Yeah, he just sat there all confused. I'd like to know what they thought, because that means there's people still at Chewton Glen that think that Matt Morgan put up a notice on his own hotel room door advertising himself as a sex
worker. Right, that's done. I'll go for a bike ride.
Now no one's in any doubt of my status here at Chewton Glen. Right, so talk to us about times when you felt embarrassed about your situation, when you felt out of place and that, and then we'll talk to you on the radio. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? Be relaxing. So you can call us on 0500 288 291, or you can text 88291, or there's that email thing. There's mysterious interweb, what you can involve yourself with. Let's listen to some music though. There's Blondie then. So we're on Radio 2. This is Russell Brand on Radio 2. Trevor Locke, help us illustrate this theme of feeling out of place in different situations that we'd like to get listeners to contribute on. When's the time when you feel out of place on account of your, I don't know, I can't
all
imagine.
My life, probably.
Are you middle class or working class?
What is the thing? My name is Trevor, and my...
Hello. Well, we picked that up. You're called Trevor. That's pretty much all we need to know. But that's your passport. You're not Salvador Dali. You can't just walk in a restaurant and say, "Good evening, I'm Trevor," and expect to be fed mussels and oysters all evening.
Maybe that's where I've been going wrong. No, when I was little, my first school, people thought Trevor was a very posh name, so I was
really?
Yeah, I was teased for being posh. Exactly.
Trev.
And then in my next school, Trevor was a term of abuse. Before I even got there, Trevor was a name that you called somebody who was, you didn't like him. You called a bit of a Trevor, is he?
He's a bit of a Trevor, really.
Exactly. He's a bit of a Trevor.
It had negative connotations.
So that's the thing. So every time I meet
just
somebody
in the culture
new,
of that school, because it sounds as if some John the Baptist figure had gone to your school and said, prepare for one even stupider than I. A true Trevor will feel.
Maybe, but that experience has basically made me, every time I meet somebody new and I say, well, my name's Trevor,
you feel inadequate about your name.
I do. I think, do they think I'm really posh, or do they think I'm an absolute, little...
Really?
You feel like your name is a disfigurement of some kind.
You never know which way it's going to go.
Disfigurement.
You never know. Sometimes people think I'm a privately educated public school boy.
Trevor,
The way you dress.
Have you ever considered, Trevor, that people's reaction to you might not be as a result of your name, but might be as a result of the fact that you're a bit of a twit, a bit of a twerp, a bit of a difficult person
But am
to
I
be
an
around?
upper class twit or a working class twit? That is the quandary. Sometimes I've had an upper class girlfriend and I've gone back to their house and met their friends and family.
Well, that astonishes me already, that anyone would let you back into a home environment where there's a likelihood of you meeting their parents. Now, I've got good mum manners, I think. I'm pretty good at meeting people's mums, regardless of what social background they're from. I think, oh, hello, I'm sort of very skilled at meeting a mother. We've mentioned before, Liam Gallagher has no mum mode. Liam Gallagher, when I introduced him to my mother, spoke to her in the exact same manner. All right, Babs, how's it going? I spoke to her in a swaggering, insouciant fashion that we associate with him. That's Liam Gallagher's charm. Because who once said, it's not whether you're good to people or bad, but that you treat all people the same. I think it was Henry Higgins, so it'd be George Bernard Shaw, in Pygmalion Stroke My Fair Lady. It don't matter if you're good to people or bad to people, but that you treat all people the same. Although, it's a bit out of order.
Stupid.
Don't call George Bernard Shaw stupid. He was a very wise fellow.
That's a bit stupid.
Oh, well, just that one aspect of him was a bit stupid. Yeah, because surely it is out of order to go around sort of like kicking over bins.
Well, it depends what mode of behaviour you choose to treat everybody the same way.
Yeah, but he says it doesn't matter, Trevor. That's George Bernard Shaw's point. It don't matter if you're good to people or bad to people, just that you treat everyone the same. So if you went up to everyone, elbowed him in the stomach, and went, good to see you, missus, then drooged off down the road, he reckons that's alright, as long as you would do it to the Queen Mum, and to, say, for example, Paul Merton, former Arsenal forward.
Maybe that is right. Because when Queen Victoria met that working class bloke and had an apple, she would have cut the apple up with a knife and fork. He just picked it up off the plate and bit into it.
What is this story? Trevor, you're saying that as if it's some shared cultural memory.
It is a
when
shared
Queen
cultural...
Victoria met that working class bloke and would have cut up an apple with a knife and fork. Have you ever heard mention of this before, man?
Never.
Right, Trevor, you better start from the beginning and pretend that you're with people that are normal, not the people that grew up in Bugbrook, where you're from, where you've got no awareness of Star Wars and E.T., but apparently you know all about this apple getting chopped up by Queen Victoria.
Apparently during her reign, some working class man, a leader of a group, the Peasants' Revolt, I don't know, a minor or something.
The Peasants' Revolt in Victorian England.
And it would have been a result if
They
there
were a
was.
bloody result. Well done.
No.
You've reversed time. You've brought Wat Tyler into the Victorian era. We're all very surprised by that.
So he gets an audience with the Queen, goes to Buckingham Palace or wherever she was living, and there is an apple, and she would have eaten it with a knife and fork. That's how they eat an apple.
The gentry and royalty
Exactly.
ate apples.
But
with
he
knives
saw
and
the
forks.
apple and he did the right thing. He picked it up and munched into it, and everyone there is sort of sniggering
bit
and going,
forward,
If I was him, I'd think, I've gone to the palace, all I've got is an apple.
I'd say leave the fruit alone. You're lucky enough to be in the palace. Don't start touching Her Majesty's apples.
Was that the first course?
I don't
Did they
know.
want him to have the apple, Trev? Was it in a clearly laid
Did this
place?
happen?
Saying
It was
for
a
the
test.
peasant.
Listen, let me finish. And then we can pull it apart after I finished it. So the idea is...
Was that how it's going to work, is it, Trev? Is that the way you roll? You're not Tony Montana laying down the law to your lackeys.
It's falling apart as you say it.
Look, there's the apple. He picks it up, bites into it. All
Right.
the courtiers are sort of sniggering.
Sniggering courtiers. You've done the impression of the sniggering courtiers.
You've done it wrong.
We've seen that impression.
She then picks up the apple and bites into it.
We all knew
Jaws
that was going to
drop
happen ages
all
ago.
around the palace.
We all knew that was the end
is
of
the
that
way
story,
to
didn't we?
behave, and then she cuts through class.
She doesn't. She just looks
She treats him
oafish.
how... She doesn't look
I've lost
oafish.
respect for that woman. I always thought of Queen Victoria as a bastion of all that was great in England. Victorian England, when it was truly noble to be an Englishman, when we were still an all-conquering, glorious nation. If that is a good thing, maybe that's a terrible, terrible thing that we've done in the past.
What did you want her to do then? Pick up her knife and fork and go, this is how you do it,
I'd like to put it down, like on 2 apples, put them down her bra, and sung, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, and then sort of mimed doing a raspberry trip. That would have pleased me, though. I think we've got someone on the line to tell us about embarrassing... yeah, look, this person We've been to Buckingham Palace. Trish Bain from Weybridge, let's not give too much information in case she gets captured. Trish Bain from Weybridge, she is a carer. She once went to Buckingham Palace. Trevor, I'm not interested. Trish, hello dear.
Hello.
So, did you hear that anecdote that we just relayed?
I did indeed. I was very interested about that. Sounds incredibly fascinating, Trevor. Well done.
Trish, had you ever heard it before?
I can't say I have, but then, I don't really have that much contact with the Victorian era. Really.
No. Well, Trevor's only just emerged from it. Now, I think we've got two options here. Either the tale is apocryphal, or it is a complete and utter lie that he made up on the spot. Now, Trish...
It's a true story I've got to tell. It's actual truth.
Trevor claims that it's true. But
I believe Trevor. He's a decent fellow. I remember him from your last Six Music show. We were there. Me and my daughter were there, so...
Trish, that's lovely to know. Now, you came and visited us at Six Music. Oh, how lovely to speak to you. Now, Trish, did you really go to Buckingham Palace?
I did. In the last century, I did, with my family.
Right, because it's 2000 and she's not a time traveller, she just went there a few years ago.
Yeah, well we had the honour of an invitation. I went as a young spinster, a very young spinster, and my father was...
Was it a disguise, or are you a spinster?
I was dressed as a very young spinster, yes.
Lovely.
So it was very good, it was very...
Here, what kind of spinster as a daughter? That's against the rules of being a spinster.
Oh yeah, but that was in the last century, I say. I since acquired the daughter.
Oh, I see, right, you're a spinster, and since then you've become, it seems, more fruitful.
Fecund, I think is the word.
Lovely.
But well then, we digress. I thought you wanted to hear about going to Buckingham Palace.
I'm keen to hear about it. I'm
beginning to think
it's a lie. Minutes ago you were claiming to be a spinster, now you've got more children than the old woman who lives in the shoe.
No. Well, when I was a spinster and when I was barren, we went up to Buckingham Palace.
Before that. No one's got more right to be at Buckingham Palace than a baron. Perhaps a viscount or an earl. Who's to say?
Well, anyway, I was only a mere slip of a thing, but anyway, I went up there, and
I went up that palace.
I went up there in a taxi, got outside, walked into the palace, watched the peasants outside. It was great, but
Trish.
Yes.
Changed.
You forgot your roots pretty quickly. The minute you were over that threshold, you thought of your former friends as peasants.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's nice. It's nice once in a while to think of your former friends as peasants.
Did you meet any of the royal family?
Oh, well, that was what I was going to say. I nearly did, until a bodyguard almost chopped my feet off.
What were you doing? Lunging?
Well, no. I was eating my morsel of cucumber sandwiches, and
Did you have them in your handbag, or were they just about the place?
No, I was holding them in between my index finger and my thumb, in the way that one does with cucumber sandwiches.
Okay.
And we were just sort of wandering around, meandering with the crowd, and suddenly this bodyguard comes up and thrusts a horrible great stake in, just missed my metatarsal, and...
Trish, I think were we to hear this story from that bodyguard, it would come across very different. I think he'd probably talk of concealed weapons and a threat on the life of Her Majesty. I reckon you strayed off the tour and into the private quarters of Prince Andrew.
I had a big gun in my bag, by the way.
This is the BBC, Trish.
Yes, I do apologise.
Be a bit more respectful. Now, so essentially, I can't imagine a situation where you would feel at home, to tell the truth, if that's how you carry on at Buck House.
No, well,
and this is how you behave on BBC Radio 2.
I do apologise. I'm a respectful person. I used to work for GCHQ. I'm a pillar of society.
I don't know what those words mean, but
Government Communication Headquarters, a spy centre.
It's a shame that they're so difficult to communicate, and it's also a shame that you're treating espionage as something you can blabber across the airwaves. Christ, Trish, you're a menace. All right, my love. Thank you very much for your contribution, Trish. Take care.
Bye.
Now, that was I'm glad that Trish called us, but, was she embarrassed in that situation? It sounds to me like that bodyguard was just doing a difficult job rather well. What do you think, Trevor?
Well,
you look perplexed.
Why would he thrust a stake through her?
The trouble was, Trevor, by that stage I was worried about Trish, and I didn't want to ask her to elaborate on the stake thing, because I didn't know if it was a vampiric type stake, or if it was a beef steak. I don't know what, At that stage I thought, let's just acquiesce, Trish. and not let this get into the nightmare territory.
Very professional of you.
Thank you. Well, we're on Radio 2 now.
Split-second decision.
So hang on, she went on a tour of Buckingham Palace?
She went on a tour of
So you
Buckingham
wouldn't
Palace.
feel out of place class-wise on a tour of Buckingham?
No, right, of course not. That
Right.
can, any old muck can wander around the gardens, can't they?
You could walk around it in a shell set.
Not like,
Whereas if you're broken in...
or that Trevor's apple-scoffing chimney sweep from earlier. Okay, so yeah, tell us about your situations where you felt embarrassed to feel. I felt a bit embarrassed when I used the incorrect past tense for the verb to feel just then. Email russell.brand@bbc.co.uk or call 0500 288 291. Or, you don't have to contribute, just listen. It can be a passive medium. Guess what? Let's talk to Matt and Dave out of Little Britain in a minute. But first, why not listen to Morrissey? I know we've already had the Smiths, but you're allowed. We are allowed. It's just look at it as different things. Matt, what do you want? More Led Zeppelin? Frank Zappa? There will be Frank Zappa. These things will
I'm
happen.
not sulking.
Do you look sulky?
My finger is hovering over the button.
You look like George Bush with your finger above that button, all full of menace, all glib with power. Okay, let's have a listen to Morrissey, then we'll chat to Matt Lucas and Dave Williams. That'd be nice. You're listening to BBC Radio 2. I'm Russell Brand. That was Morrissey. I just want to see the boy happy. We've got Matt Lucas on the phone. Hello, Matt. Are you there?
Hello, friend. How are you?
I feel really optimistic and upbeat. This is our first show on Radio 2. It seems to be going quite well. Where are you?
I'm in Aberdeen with David. We're in the interval at the moment of our sellout touring show of the hilarious Little Britain.
It is hilarious.
Thank you very much. Well, you're going to be in it, aren't you?
I'm going to be in the gala comic relief performance. That's on Wednesday. I'm nervous about it, Matt.
Well, you've no need to be nervous. But we look forward to having you. You're going to come and do a sketch. I should explain to the listeners.
Will you?
We're doing this gala show for Comic Relief on Wednesday night at Hammersmith Apollo. You can get tickets at comicrelief.com, and most of them are on sale for about £35.
Seems very reasonable.
Russell, it's very reasonable.
To see so many stars. What other, there will be celebrity appearances, won't there, Matt?
There'll be loads of celebrity appearances. It's the Little Britain show, but with loads of special guests as well, many of whom I can't name, and I don't want to give away the gags, but I'll name a few.
Go on.
Obviously, you're doing it.
That's quite a draw.
That's a draw. We have Mr. Jonathan Ross.
Again, another Radio 2 favourite.
We have Dawn French.
Oh, lovely. I met her recently.
Miles. You met Dawn French, did you?
I fancy her from childhood.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
She's I think I'll pass you over to David Williams in a moment. I think he agrees with you.
Really? Does he?
Dawn French, definitely.
I heard that Peter Kay's going to be in it. Is Peter Kay going to be in it?
Who told you that?
I just heard it. I just picked it up from mysterious sources, Matt. It'd be exciting to see him. It'd be exciting to see you and him upon the same stage, two colossuses of the world of English comedy together at last. Blimey, very thought.
I can't confirm that, but I'll tell you who else. We've got Kate Moss.
Blimey, the excitement of it all.
Have you met her in real life?
I met her very briefly. She's a lovely, lovely person.
A lovely person, and loads of people, and I don't want to give too many other ones away, but it's going to be a great night, and it's all for Comic Relief, and there's a few tickets left at £35, so anybody should go to comicrelief.com and pick some tickets up. And you're going to come and do a sketch, I think, with Emily and Florence, the lady.
I'm very excited about this sketch. That is the sketch that I'm going to do. I'd particularly like it if people listening to this now buy tickets, because then I'd feel like I've got a core of support that are there actually to see me, which will be unusual in that environment. Yeah, so please do come and see that.
Will you be in drag?
Thank you very much. And so how are you enjoying life on Radio 2, Russell?
I like it very much. We've only just started. It's quite tentative. Matt and I said that we sort of feel like a stepdad. It's a new family position. You know, like if you're a stepdad coming into a family, you've got to be, oh, hello, you know, I'm not trying to replace your dad. I just want to be friendly. I just want you to like me. You know, so being like that at the moment, before eventually, of course, we start to misuse our position of power, start to be a bit offhand, drink Kestrel in the corner room, other strong alcohols are available.
No, I don't think so. I think you're taking to it very well. I think it's only a matter of time before you're hosting Pick of the Pops.
Do you think so? Do you think that's a
so,
possibility?
Or children's one. That's Pick of the Pops, isn't it? Where you ring in and you say, oh, can you play the Runaway Train? I think my grandfather's clock.
I would like to think that I'll become a bastion, much like Wogan himself, and will one day be portrayed as having a muscular upper body, like Terry.
And a corset.
Why
Listen,
not?
let me pass you over to David Williams.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
He really wants to talk to you.
Let's have a word with
I
him.
will see you on Wednesday night at the Comic Relief Gala.
I look forward to seeing you then, Matt. It will be what a gala it promises to be.
Do come along, listeners.
Do
I'll pass
come.
you over to David Williams.
Thank
Here
you,
go.
thank you.
God bless.
So God bless, Matt. David, David, hello. This is me, Russell, your friend.
One from me.
All I need from you is constant devotion and affection. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm standing here in my pants.
Really?
From one costume to another. But you've actually seen me naked, and I've seen you naked.
We've seen each other naked, David. I don't know if this anecdote is fit for Radio 2. The way that we came to be nude, proud we stood there naked. It was like women in love, wrestling we were, like the H. Lawrence heroes.
Getting changed because we were both in the same yoga class.
Yes, sorry, I know there was no wrestling there. Wrestling even now of my conscience for having told such a filthy untruth. I've recently been watching you doing that swim, you know, like in research for various projects I'm doing with you, and I must say it brought a tear to my eye to see you.
People cried at the end.
A lot of the researchers who work for our company were very moved by it, David.
Well, we were watching it the other day because we were at the National Television Awards. They showed the clip at the end where I'm trying to get out.
Right. Yeah.
And, I was just heckling myself, going, "Come on, you fat bastard, get out!"
That's
Stop
nice.
putting it on.
Yeah. When I saw the reaction of some of the women in the office, I began to understand your motivation for having done the swim in the first place.
Purely for that reason, you think?
Essentially, to manipulate soft-hearted, naive women.
You're very hard.
I think I'm a good and decent man. I don't pretend to swim channels for famine relief.
You're kind of irredeemable.
I think I can be.
You're already going to hell. There's nothing that you could do now. Even if you just became Mother Teresa for the rest of your life, your life it's still been a terrible waste, and you've caused nothing but evil and suffering in the world.
This is my first show on Radio 2. I'm a good man. Anyway, Jesus and God and everyone get much more pleasure from redeeming someone like Saul, who became St. Paul, than someone like you, who's always just been on the outskirts of evil, casually dipping their toe in to raise money.
He'd be coming to visit you.
I think you two would become very close.
For your salvation.
I think the pair of you would have become lovers. Now, I fancy that you're probably due back on stage. Where are you, Aberdeen?
Aberdeen, yeah.
Thank you for joining us, David.
It's a great pleasure.
Will you look after me when I do this gala with you on Wednesday? I don't need taking advantage of me in that sketch. I would like you to treat me were I a young, naive lover. Okay.
Fantastic. And you will be very, very funny, I know.
Good. I'm very much looking forward to it. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Right, it's a pleasure. Well, we will see you then, and yes, it would be lovely if people came along, because it's a great cause. And
it is a good cause.
It would be a really fun night out, and a total one-off.
Perhaps you can use this cause to meet and seduce women, David, as you've exploited many other causes before.
You've got me all wrong.
Well, you know. All right, David. Thank you very much. Give a kiss to Matt. Thank you very much for joining us, both of you, on this our inaugural Radio 2 show. I love you and all. Right, ta-ta. Thanks for talking to us.
Okay,
bye. Love you.
Bye.
Bye. See you then. There they were, Matt Lucas and David Williams, two of the finest comedy actors this country's ever seen. Matt, did you enjoy that phone call?
I just want to know if you're going to be in drag or not.
I'm not going to be in drag. I heard you ask that question tentatively. Am I going to be in drag? I was trying to concentrate on them. This is our first show. We can't nose it up. I ain't going to be in drag. I'm going to be playing the part of a plumber in a sketch where Matt and David are them two. I'm a lady.
I've seen that sketch, and that plumber doesn't just wear plumber's clothes.
No, he doesn't, does he? But let's not give away the ending of that sketch, because people will be excited and thrilled to see it. So yeah, you can go and buy tickets for that if you want to, because it'd be nice if people come to see me, because then I won't feel like I'm swamped in Little Britain fans and that. You'll come, will you, Matt?
When is it?
Next Wednesday.
Very busy.
No, come on. Don't be so selfish. Alright, should we listen to Jackie Wilson, Matt, and think about our lives?
I think it's going to lift us higher and higher.
I can't see how we could get any higher, but let's try. If anyone can take us higher, it's Jackie Wilson, and here he is, by jingo. That was Jackie Wilson. You're listening to Russell Brand on Radio 2. That transcends all boundaries, though, doesn't it?
Doesn't that just lift you up?
Oh, I feel really... Trevor, you look confused and perplexed.
I was just trying to work out if it does actually transcend all boundaries.
All boundaries are transcended by that, Trev. You name a boundary, that'll transcend it. Go on, I dare you, name a boundary.
Don't think too hard about
the one between England and Wales.
That's transcended. That is easily transcended by that track. Jackie Wilson. Jackie, sort of a bit Welsh. Wilson. Hello. That's an English name, if ever there were one. Right, guess what? We've got exciting things coming up. We've got Noel Gallagher still to chat to in a bit. John Ronson will be here. He will lift us higher and higher, I imagine, culturally, while still maintaining the kind of humility, because he's educated, humble, sort of a bright man. I've been reading a lot of his stuff lately, not only in preparation for this, but I always read his column on accounts of the fact that I like it. Now, Trevor, due to this class theme that we're exploring, we're talking about people being embarrassed in embarrassing situations as a result of their class, right? Well, look, here's some emails. Listen to this, by Jove. Paul Stanley from Stafford goes, years ago I tried to impress my girlfriend by taking her to a really posh restaurant. I really cringed when after ordering a pint of lager the waiter brought it to the table in 2 half-pint glasses. Oh, Paul. See, he was all out of his depth. So far from impressing his girlfriend, he looked boorish and loutish.
Embarrassing.
Have you, Matthew?
In restaurants.
Have you? And hairdressers, you get it every time you step outside of the narrow parameters of your house or off of your new shiny bicycle, which Matt's got a bike, right, Trev? He's just bought a bike. He's given it a name, Smokey.
No,
he's really proud of it. He was riding it in the office. You have called it Smokey. He goes, "Come on, Smokey, we're going home." And he's got a little bell on it. He's really so proud of his bike. He was riding it in the office the other day.
So were you.
I had a quick go, but I didn't give it a name.
Goes, I bet you've given it a name. I went, yeah, I've called it Smokey. As an offhand joke.
Smokey the bike.
You leave Smokey out of this.
Do you think it's your
bought that
steed?
bike because when we went to the posh hotel and I felt so uncomfortable, I thought the only place I felt comfortable was they lent you a mountain bike and going to the New Forest. It was brilliant.
You certainly didn't look comfortable in that glorious jacuzzi thing that was outdoors where I looked magnificent.
I was comfortable for a moment when I felt like Al Pacino in Scarface. I sat there, it was really nice. Then he goes, "Oh, it's good here, isn't it? It's really good, this jacuzzi." And then I said, yeah, it's good. I started to relax. Started doing ballet pointing. Going, look at my legs. Look at my toe. Look how arched
I just wanted to see my sexy legs emerging from the water.
It's embarrassing.
They looked ever so sexy, and how dare you challenge me on my female sex appeal.
Had the wrong trunks.
I had them lovely trunks.
Got his London team to send the right trunks down. They weren't revealing and skimpy enough.
These trunks are neither revealing or skimpy. How can I possibly attract attention and deriding snorts with these?
The thing about having someone who packs your bag for you is they always get it wrong. Well,
I'm out of touch.
Why don't you lay things out that you want to take on your bed?
Yeah, that's true. I really must learn to exploit this position better. Now, Trevor, you wanted to go and do an experiment, didn't you?
Well, I thought that I should explore this now in real time.
Come on then. What are you going to explore? This theme of class and feeling out of place and awkward.
Exactly.
How are you, Trevor Locke, going to explore this idea on Radio 2?
Well, I've dressed up rather smartly. I've put a tie on. I'm wearing a suit.
You're dressed how you always dress, like Alan Bennett, but a boy band version of him. Right. Or like a cartoon Aled Jones.
Chosen everything from the spectrum of brown.
Right across the brown.
But it's autumn.
There, Trevor.
But how often do you get a chance to wear brown?
From chocolate to cappuccino. Trev's got it all.
These are the autumn colours. Never wear brown in town, but I'm taking that risk tonight.
Never wear brown in town? Is that a rule? That probably comes from the same...
Really?
Where does he get his information from? Things like that. Queen Victoria eating an apple. Never wear brown in town.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor, your social structure is not a class-based one, it's a time-based one, and that time is 1950s.
Maybe it is.
Soup boils.
Come on then,
I look quite respectable. I look like I'm from the 1950s. I look a little bit sort of posh and upper class, perhaps.
Lovely looking fella you are.
Exactly. So I shall go out there and...
into the streets of London from where we're broadcasting.
And I'll sit on Oxford Street and ask, have one of those notices playing saying that I'm... Beg. Exactly.
You're going to go and beg on the streets dressed as you are. See how well you do at begging, even though you're dressed all posh.
From the wrong class.
Exactly. Illegal.
What will that happen? It's not illegal.
Right, give back any money you beg. You better give back. I've got to give it back. I don't know, Trev. We'll work that out later.
Have you engineered the situation to make 75p?
Trev, you can probably get a cab home. If you're trying to raise your bus fare by this contrived experiment, it's ridiculous.
So we're going to write on your sign?
Just going to write, homeless and hungry, please spare some change.
You do, son. Don't let him do that. Homeless and hungry is rubbish. Always got road. Good evening, I'm a right proper Burlington Bertie, though I'm more than unusually hard up. Here, spare us a few shillings, wouldn't ya? Something like that, so with a bit more panache.
That won't fit on the page.
Matt, you write something out.
It's terribly embarrassing, but I'm short of a penny or two.
Yeah, write that out there.
It's terribly embarrassing, I'm short of a penny.
And do your experiment.
But write it so people can read it.
Yes, Trevor, write it in a illegible fashion.
I'll
Is it
do
legible?
that.
I always mix up that word. Right, okay, so while Trevor's doing that item, this is the time for us to launch something dead important. Now, it has long been a dream of mine to, start a football chant. Not only, I'd like to start a pre-existing chant.
I'm glad you said that. I thought we were going to go on about the cult again.
Alright,
it's long been a dream of mine.
To establish a cult where I would have absolute power and my every whim would be immediately succumbed to. That is a dream that we'll bring up once we're established.
Today.
Yeah, I wrote in my Guardian column, right, that there's not enough football songs in Premiership grounds. This is something that is, I think it's probably because since, everyone's got to sit down and stuff like that, it's more difficult to strike up a song.
There's been worrying me to death.
Matthew's, he's not a big football fan now, Matt, but you are a music fan, so you'll enjoy this item, right? What I would like to do is dream up a new football chant based on a song, right? Now, I've done some tentative work. I'm a West Ham fan. I go to Upton Park. Now, I've started some work on a little chant based on Billy Joel's Uptown Girl. It would be along the lines of Upton Park, we're the Hammers, we're from Upton Park. Now, that could be, that would be the basis of a Billy Joel sourced chant.
Sounds like you're one of the desperate people on X Factor.
Hello, Simon. I've come here today to sing you a song.
Is that how I'm coming across? Because I think that this could work. I think that, but like, if you can help me with that chant, I've had some emails here. Look, this one's saying, Russell, your idea is ridiculous, stop. You will never infiltrate the true fans. No, like, here we go, look at this chant one. This is from Jez G. If you are looking for a song camper with Uptown Girl for the Hammers fans to chant, what about I Am West Ham, Hear Me Roar, in numbers too big to ignore, liking that I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar song? Jez G, a Leeds fan, is in no position. Look at Trev's putting on his pink scarf in preparation to go out and beg. You going to wear that pink scarf, are you, while you're out begging?
Why not? I think a scarf is a denotion of the posh classes, isn't it? It's pink, that's a posh colour.
Yeah, that's a beautiful signifier, sir. You will never see him again. Umberto Eco. Okay, so that football
take your sign.
I will take my sign.
He's got his sign, don't worry about that, Con, because the news is going to be on in a minute. The news is on and you're faffing around, now come on. Right, so send us football chants based on songs, that's essentially it. We'll tell you more about this scheme, and later on the phone we've got Pete Boyle, he writes all Man United's chants. He's the poet laureate of the terraces.
But your Upton Park song isn't complete.
Upton Park, it's not complete, so I need help with that. Yeah, that's very important, Matt, thank you for raising that. If you can help with Upton Park, where the Hammers, we're from Upton Park, then I did toy with the line, we're just a bunch of these thin boys. I'll get killed for that.
That sounds like a musical.
It does, doesn't it? So I thought instead,
there's someone dancing on a car.
Not like those, I don't know, I'll try to think of a derisory two-syllable term, not like those dudders from White Hart Lane. That could work.
Isn't there always swearing in football?
There can be swearing, we'll get around it for this broadcast. Okay, so send us your suggestions. If there is swearing, we'll get around it. And later we'll talk to Pete Boyle when we come out of the news. Also, John Ronson's here, Noel Gallagher. Blimey, it's packed, it's an embarrassment of riches. Trevor Locke's going out on the streets. We'll talk to him later.
Good luck, Trevor.
During his begging experience. Trevor, we'll ring you up when you're on the street begging. Don't let us down, because it's an important social experiment, this is.
I'll do my best.
Not since Milgram and Stanford has mankind been exposed to such cruel, cold examination. Now get out there and learn, Trevor.
Take a hat.
Take care, Trev. Take your sign. Good lad. Right, so why don't we now have a little bit of a show that on Six Music we always used to call the news. When we were on Six Music, we used to always try and get the newscaster to say a word. Now, I wonder if that's allowed on Radio 2. What would be a nice word?
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Try and get this. We don't know. Oh, we met the lady that does the news. She seemed lovely. Andrea, try and get the word shenanigans into the news. Not in obviously if there's been a tragic, awful story, you know, we don't mean to be disrespectful, but if there's a light-hearted one at the end, or something fell out of a tree, or, you know, like that kind of story, it'd be nice to get the word shenanigan in, just as a start. So, let's have a bit of the old news, then John Ronson, Noel Gallagher, all sorts. So you're listening to 88 to 91 FM, this is Radio 2 from the BBC. There's Paul Simon with Call Me Al, you're listening to Russell Brand on Radio 2 at the BBC. Good song, isn't it? Call Me Al there by Paul Simon. I liked it. Do you like it, Matt?
Yeah, I like it.
Is that why you just now went, good song this, all nodding his head and went, I want this played at my funeral? All serious and self-indulgent. Planning his own funeral. Look, I'll have to probably arrange that event, and let me tell you, it'll be a humble affair.
Oh, you're always saying, I'll die before you.
Your body will be kicked into a pauper's grave. See you later, son. Nice knowing you. There'll be no time for playing records.
Pride. I would have pretended to be posh at a stupid spa.
I fit in right like a glove, all nice I was in that spa with my lady legs and the jacuzzi. So we're talking about football chants now. Anyhow, right, so, yeah, because I'm trying to write a football chant for Upton Park based around Upton Girl by Billy Joel.
What would happen if West Ham fans turned it round? Russell Brand!
It was
an attack on you.
If it was an attack, I'd feel really rejected and neglected. It would destroy me, Matt. Please don't encourage that, because I'm being a good fan of West Ham. I write my Guardian articles about them all the time, so I was jobbing going there all my life with my dad and my friends, and so as I don't deserve to be humiliated. Here's some contributions from people Arsenal fans have started chanting Flamini's name to the Sweeney theme tune, says Nick. That's good, isn't it?
How would that go?
Flamini, Flamini.
That sounds like you're waiting for him. Flamini!
Flamini! Well, he's doing very well lately. He's scored the other day against Liverpool. So this is from Liam Tyrrell, or Tyrrell. He goes, good luck with the transfer to Radio 2, Russell. Why are you saying that? Sounds sarcastic. Maybe he wrote this ages ago. Read your usual excellent piece in The Guardian. Oh, Liam. And I can identify with your gallant quest to pen a new Terrace Ditty.
I think that bit was sarcastic.
Whilst shut up, stop spoiling everything. Otherwise you'll be hearing Call Me Out within the hour. Whilst I could never proclaim to be Peter Boyle, he is the Man United Poet Laureate, we're going to talk to him in a minute, the guy who makes up all the songs at Manchester Red Sox. Manchester Red Sox, that's cruel, because they're owned by the Glazers, you know, American money, whatnot. I can claim, says Liam, to have penned the Zamora song. Wasn't that hard, really. I nicked it from the popular Vieira song from the Gunners, because Arsenal used to sing for Patrick Vieira. They used to sing to the tune of Volare. Vieira, oh Vieira, oh,
those guys.
He came from Senegal was the rhyme, but then he goes. He comes from Senegal, and then then this is Liam, he says, he tried to emulate that, saying, but of course Bobby Zamora comes from Barking, he can't think of anything to rhyme with Barking, and then he thought White Hart Lane, because Bobby Zamora came from White Hart Lane, and who did he replace? Tottenham-bound Jermaine Defoe, hence the song, he came from White Hart Lane, he's better than Jermaine, right? So he wrote that, I've sung that song many times, and it was Liam from Wakefield who wrote it. He goes, I'm not loud or anything, unlike you, but I've never had a problem starting songs at games, and so a couple of days after he signed, I started to sing the song, and my mates joined in, and then Zamora scored. The rest is history. Never felt proud of them. We were all singing it when Barking Bob fired us into the Premiership at Cardiff. So my new mission is to help you with your song. He continues, Liam does, he goes, Upton Park, we're the Hammers, we're from Upton Park. He's keeping that original line.
That's good.
We're just a bunch of East End boys. He's even keeping that.
Don't keep that.
I think, a lot of people thought
we're going to really rough you up.
Because we're ever so bloomin' tough. We're bloomin' tough. We're just about filling the bowling ground with passion and... Right, hold on a minute, how does this work?
What'd you say, Claret and Blue?
Passion and noise, pretty bubbles through the sorrow and joys. That's quite good. That's quite good, Liam. That's pretty good. Now, so let's talk to, I think Pete Boyle's here. Pete, you are the Poet Laureate of the Terraces, are you not?
That's quite a flattering description. I must say that, although I'm the most prominent one at Manchester United and I'm well known for it, I'm not the only person. I've encouraged lots of people over the years, and other people do write songs, but I probably write more than anyone else, so I get a lot more of recognition.
Do you feel jealous, Pete? Say someone came with a really, really good one that really took on, would you feel a bit jealous, like Salieri was of Mozart in the film Amadeus?
No, not at all. I mean, I actually encourage people, but I mean, the sad thing is you get dreadful song sent to you, know. I mean, I think the worst thing was when Oasis were at the peak about 10 years ago, and
that was a terrible time for all of us. Terrible time for music, for English culture. We're going to talk to Noel Gallagher in a minute. We can talk to him about how. So go on. What was you going to say about when Oasis were at their peak? I suppose you got a city load of songs.
Because Noel wrote, Greatest Respect, not quite simple, quite easy lyrics.
He's a genius.
Clever songs, easy lyrics. Yeah. And a lot of people just think I can do this cat mat hat, and he used to send me songs rhyming David Beckham with Peckham and Deckham and all that, so I had to kindly return down a lot of people's advances. But I admire your stance with Uptown Girl. If you can get the old RTF boys singing the Billy Joel song, I'll
it's a bit of a sight, yeah.
CD through the post. But I admire your originality, because Russell, if you watch England, if you watch Stoke, Sheffield Wednesday, Barnet, Reading, Charlton, Bolton, Aston Villa, you'll hear them all going, Portsmouth. Original. If Portsmouth fans could sing one original song, they'd be probably out the best fans in the league. But all they sing is the same old monotone stuff that every other team in the league.
Would you ever consider taking a commission on and doing a song for Portsmouth fans, or indeed working on my Billy Joel number?
No, I would help you with some lyrics for maybe, but I could never do it. It'd be sacrilege, and West Ham fans would hate it. I mean, there was a thing where there was a competition a couple of years ago, and they asked me would I write a song, so I said, do you want me to send a song that's been sung on the terraces, or just a clever song that can do both?
Right.
And he said, one that's been sung on the terraces. So I sent him when Johnny goes marching down the wing to the old Well, I did it to English Civil War by the Clash because it's cool.
Right.
You probably know it. Everyone else knows it as The Animals Marching 2 by 2. Da 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 da. And I did that song which 60,000 people sung at Old Trafford.
Wow.
And you know what the winning entry was?
Go on.
It was a Barry Manilow song wrote by a Birmingham City fan for an Aston Villa player.
Oh,
now you tell me if that song's ever been sung by Aston Villa fans.
They never sing Barry Manilow's songs.
Well, would West Ham fans sing a song that was penned by a Tottenham fan and it was publicly known? No.
No, they wouldn't, but they, you know, sort of a lot of songs, as you say, get transferred. A lot of unoriginal material does get transferred from ground to ground.
I think the key is that too many... I mean, you had a couple of years ago where you had Liverpool, Newcastle, Bolton all singing that tune to Hey Baby, DJ Otzi, and it's so cringeworthy to hear so many teams on telly singing that song.
Yeah.
At United, we've sang Gigs Will Tear You Apart to Joy Division.
That's pretty good.
Fields in Spiral Carpets. I've got one to David Bowie's Starman for Vanda. Starman jumped into the sky.
That's pretty good.
Pulled another save off. No, it wasn't going wide, etc., etc.
How do you get people to learn that en masse?
Well, it's, you know, not everyone takes off. For every, like, say, I probably wrote about 200 or 300 proper songs, and you know, not all things, but I go in the pub and I bring my CDs out with some songs, sometimes give song sheets out.
So you have to take quite seriously. You do need to get, there needs to be handouts, because I'm thinking, because I've got to launch this, as you say, this Upton Girl, Upton Park, amongst, you know, gnarled West Ham fans.
A little tip for you to do it at the football terrace.
Yeah.
You've got to keep it short. You can't, people can email in now loads of really clever lyrics.
But it won't catch on.
But they're great if you're going to record it in studio. But to get it in the song, you've got to keep it as short as possible. Because, you know, someone could bring a brilliant line about something to do with, you know, Bobby Moore and Billy Bonds and all that.
But
and it might sound great when you're reading it out.
Yeah.
But to try and get it going as a Terry song, you got to stick to the Uptown Girl and maybe just stick to maybe the chorus, that's all.
Because I was thinking that Uptown Girl's got that, whoa, that sounds lovely, I thought, en masse.
They'll never do that.
Do you think they won't do the harmonies?
What you have to do is get everyone to dress up like in the them sort of like, you know, jumpsuits like Billy Joel had that in the original video in Westlife.
Yeah, Russ, go down there with a big suitcase full of jumpsuits.
Right, boys, I've got a big idea.
Arms, dress like that and give out song sheets, and I'm sure it'll take off, or something will take off.
I'll dress up as the Uptown Girl. I'll put on a little white frock, go, righto, boys, we're going to have a bit of a sing-along. What are you throwing that for? That hurts.
Well, actually, my mate Mark from Manchester, he volunteered to dress up as David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust era, in a jumpsuit, but he said only if Russell sends him some makeup. So can you arrange that?
We can sort that out. Pete, we're going to keep you in touch with how this campaign goes, but, you know, with God as my witness, we shall get Upton Park singing.
I'll send you that CD and £10 for some more makeup if you do, Russell. Thanks a lot.
No problem. Nice one. Good luck with your baby, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
So now, take care. Right, so that's good. Right, now what can we do now, Matt, other than listen to Uptown Girl? And then, like, if you are listening, think of, like, alternative lyrics for us to, you know, to make my dream come true.
The first few lines and then the chorus.
That's right, it doesn't need to become complicated.
And then you need to get your leaflets done. Get your cosses.
Get the cosses for the boys, and then we're off. Okay, so right, we're going to listen to Uptown Girl, obviously. Then we've got John Ronson here to talk to. We're talking to him about his book, Out of the Ordinary, that's available now. And then we'll talk to Noel Gallagher, who will be listening to this, and he'll be furious about that, won't he? Won't he? He'll be peeved. He'll be well vexed.
What was it? Cat Matt
hat. Well, he's not going to like that.
He's never rhymed Matt with that.
Of course he hasn't. Shine, fine. He's done a couple of times, but never Cat Matt. Well, we'll talk to Noel Gallagher in a little bit, but before that we've got John Ronson, and before that, Billy Joel. Just imagine the alternatives. There it is. There's Uptown Girl, or Upton Park, as it's soon to become known. We're here with John Ronson on Radio 2. Hello, John.
Hello, Russell. How are you?
Oh, ever so well today. Hello. Did you hear the last link we were doing?
No, I was talking to your girlfriend.
I don't have a girlfriend. I don't know who that is you're talking to.
There was some woman out there claims to be a girlfriend talking to her.
I get a lot of this. People make these claims, John, and I don't know who they are.
But halfway through the conversation, I thought I heard you say, because it was on in the background, John Ronson's not going to like that, but I've got no idea what it is I'm not going to like.
Oh no, we'll say Noel Gallagher's not going to like it, because there's a bit where Pete Boyle, poet laureate of the Terraces, the United fan, was saying, oh, it was a terrible time for football when Oasis were big, because all the standard of terrace chants dropped. Like, it's like Noel Gallagher, one of the best songwriters in English history, is condemning him for lowering the standard of terrace chants.
You know that Noel Gallagher once saved the life of a dog that I was looking after.
How did this ever happen?
This was a long time ago when he was the roadie for the Inspiral Carpets.
Even then, he had Christ-like qualities.
Yeah.
He was raising a Lazarus hound.
Well, he looked like such a kind of, thug. And
well, he still does, doesn't he?
And I was managing a band called the Man from Del Monte, and we were playing together in Albert Square in Manchester. Wow. And Mike, the singer, said, "Will you look after my dog, John?" And I hadn't thought it through, so I put the dog on top of a speaker stack. And then wandered off. Well, I was like 19 years old.
Why did you put this dog will be best off on this speaker stack?
I'd never had to look after a dog before. I mean, I realised that this story doesn't make me look good.
But even then, just common sense. I wasn't an experienced canine handler, so I immediately put it on top of a turret.
What sort of a dog?
Little Yorkshire Terrier.
Oh, and it was a tiny dog.
Roger.
It should have been alright. Don't validate it, Matt. What he done was wrong. Putting that on top of a precipice.
Yeah. Why did the dog just stay there?
I recognise that I don't come out of the story well, but next thing I know, Noel Gallagher's running across Albert Square, rescuing this dog which is like hanging by its lead, like, off the speaker stack.
What an undignified death, but Noel Gallagher
didn't die.
No, didn't die.
Noel saved the dog.
Yeah, saved the dog.
Did you think that ended with a dog being hung?
Being hung, I did. I thought, this is a terrible lynching story, John. You really lowered the mood. We were having a lovely time. We'd all listened to Uptown Girl. It was a lovely show. Now we're thinking about dog lynchings. It's very, very downbeat.
I wonder if Noel remembers that.
Of course he will. Well, I don't know.
I wonder if he will.
A lot of drugs have been consumed between now and then, which are bad.
But who knows? Would you ask him when he's on the phone?
He'll be on in a minute. You'll still be here, John, probably. Okay. We'll give him a ring in a little while. He's probably listening to this in his mansion that he don't deserve with his girlfriend who he won't be able to cling on to for much longer. That's how I like to regard Noel Gallagher.
I'm looking back on the story and I'm wondering now whether it wasn't Noel Gallagher but it was Clint Boone.
We'll soon find out. We can carry out this investigation. It were Clint Boone, Noel Gallagher, Ian Brett, who's to say? So, John, you'll promote this book of yours then, Out of the Ordinary. I've been reading it. I always read your column in The Guardian. I've just told you this. I really like it. I like the way that sort of you're dead authentic and honest about sort of embarrassment and it's called Out of the Ordinary, and it are quotidian tales, but you find extraordinary things and extraordinary embarrassments within them. I like that. Like in there's one here, Matt. You'll like this. He took his lad off to meet Father Christmas, and it just became an embarrassing administrative nightmare.
Well, I crept up behind him dressed as Santa, and I said,
Father Christmas. His son. Not Father Christmas, like I'm a doppelganger. I'm a harbinger of your own demise.
That would be freakish. No, my son, when he was 4, and he said, he was thrilled. I said, ho, ho, ho. He said, will you stay with me forever, Santa?
Did he know it was you?
Yeah, he knew it was me, but he was like so thrilled to have his own Santa. He said, will you stay with me forever, Santa?
He knew it was you?
Yeah. But
that's very manipulative of him.
Yeah.
Gonna come with it. Yeah, so I said, yes, I will. I said, I'll stay with you forever and ever and ever. So it's 3 hours later, and I'm getting hives underneath the beard, and I'm sort of trying to, get the costume off and feeling very claustrophobic, and my son's going, no, Santa, don't go. Don't leave me.
Don't make the other man come back.
I couldn't bear that chap.
Yeah, so that was one of them.
So, I like tales like that, and I like the way.
No, it's a book about. It's like about. I used to sort of go off around the world and make films and write about sort of crazy people, sort of paranoid people living on the fringes of society. And then I sort of realised that in my own way I was just as crazy and paranoid, and we all are. And these little moments where you get into terrible fights at Starbucks, or you do some really bad bit.
Other coffee shops are available.
Yep, and so on. So I've written a book about that, about these like little, horrible little moments that happen to us, and I like to think I've made them funny.
You have. I like the comparison between sort of the extraordinary insanity of sort of conspiracy theorists, but the way in our own lives we make those kind of mad decisions, the way we set within our own domestic dramas, we establish impossible boundaries and ridiculous parameters.
Well, you certainly do.
When have I ever done anything odd or peculiar? I've been a good and noble man ever since I've been here on this planet. I'm trying my hardest. Well, I think we've met similar conspiracy or unusual of subcultural groups. Did you spend some time with the Jesus Christians?
Oh yeah, you not met the Jesus Christians.
Have you met them ones that took out donate kidneys?
Oh, they're horrible.
I was a bit scared by that, Matt. There's this group of people, they donate kidneys.
They give their spare kidney to a stranger,
The spare kidney? I don't like to think of it as a spare kidney, it's just my kidney.
I think that should be Trevor's challenge next week.
Next week Trevor's challenge is, give away some of your organs.
No, they're not nice. It sounds nice, right, to give your spare kidney to a stranger, but there's a sort of meanness.
But they enforce it?
Well, they say they don't enforce it, but there's a lot of peer group pressure with their slightly Machiavellian leader, Dave. He was unusual, Dave, the leader of the Jesus Christians, and I couldn't find any humanity in him.
He lacked humanity. He was a leader of a group called the Jesus Christians, and he was devoid of humanity.
Well, if he had humanity, I never saw it. But I have seen humanity in, like, people who others see none, like Omar Bakri Mohammed, or spent a year with Islamic fundamentalist leader. And David Icke had some good adventures with his sort of 12-foot lizard men.
I wonder with David Icke, because he says things, he's like, oh, right, a lot of his conspiracy theories seem really plausible. You think, oh, that's interesting, David. Yeah, perhaps the government are manipulating us. Oh, perhaps the media are controlling the way we think. Oh, no, everyone's not lizards. Oh, don't say that.
The thing that really made me laugh about my time with David Icke, though, was that, he's saying that 12-foot blood-drinking, child-sacrificing, paedophile lizards secretly rule the world, and you've got this kind of coalition on the other side of people from our side of the fence, like anti-racist groups, who are all convinced that when David Icke says 12-foot blood-drinking paedophile lizards, he's using code, and what he really means is Jews. And David Icke goes, no, I really do mean lizards. And I go, that's code too. So you can't win.
So he means literally lizards, then sort of right-thinking people say, oh no, come on, this is
so I think that's the story about how, as they get crazier, we get crazier, and it's this kind of pressure cooker of craziness.
Do you think, John, that have you ever met Rael, or the Raelians, that extraterrestrial worshipping group that think that biblical tales are just like a primitive interpretation of an advanced technology, so when they talk about stars leading people to Bethlehem, that's in fact just a UFO. Do you think that some of these ideas are plausible and feasible, but then they sort of spoil it a bit with a madcap ending?
Well, what the Raelians really want to do is just have sex. And I went.
Is that all they're up to?
Yeah, that's really. I went to their camp. I feel like a kind of dirty old man. I went to their camp with a TV camera in
Don't
France.
worry, Russell went to make a documentary that no one ever saw.
Well, they were just all looking really grumpily at me. It was like, will you go now? And I realised that they just didn't want to have their orgy till I left.
So were you spoiling their orgy?
Yeah, I stuck around for about 9 hours, and then they're all like
Russell was there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. They had the orgy, and to tell the truth, we had a lovely couple of weeks. It was a great deal of fun.
They wouldn't have their orgy in front of me, they had their orgy in front of you.
Well, I was orchestrating it, John, I'll be honest. You put that there! No, oh, come on, get off with her, kiss him, do a cuddle! Yeah, no, that's...
Did you cross the line from journalist to orgy organiser?
Yeah, well, to tell the truth, I crossed the line from orgy organiser to journalist. That was my initial position.
It was never the line. He turned up in a swimming costume with a towel on his arm. Went, right, where's the orgy?
Come on! No, Russell, do you not want to learn about my theories? No, come on, get your trunks off. No, so it was. I liked those Raelians. I like those people that define themselves by being outside of mainstream culture. Generally speaking, I think, well, you're right. I disagree with
loonies.
But I think the point, the reason why I wanted to write this new book, Out of the Ordinary, is that I like the fact that you sort of connect with them, and I've always connected with these crazy people on a sort of paranoid level. We sort of connect on this kind of neurotic level, and I think the irony is that quite often their paranoia manifests itself in a kind of blind hatred of the Jews, and my paranoia comes from being Jewish. But it's this sort of hands across the ocean thing. But I sort of connect with them, and most people from our side of the fence look at these people and say, they're just crazy, I don't know, have anything to do with them, they're just weirdos on the extremes of society. But I think, if we thought about our own lives, we'd see that we all succumb to these deeply irrational moments, and we don't want to admit it, but what I've been doing in this Guardian column and in this new book is to kind of capture those moments when we act like them.
Yes, I think you've done that perfectly. I think that's what the book does well. Matthew, of course, succumbs to his own, Matt Morgan there, to his own moments of insanity. He's named his bike Smokey, and he thinks he can find salvation through cycling. He thinks his bicycle was Jesus on 2 wheels. That's what he ultimately...
That's quite a nice thing to find salvation in, really.
It is. It's simple. You're a simple, humble man.
Whereas Russell wants to start a cult. One day you'll be using this contacts you've had with him to get into his compound.
Righto, it's week 2, so we're going to start with the rifles. No, when my cult does begin, it'll be a lovely place. Now, there's a few things I wanted to ask you about. What about, have you not got an interesting paisley scarf with an intriguing history?
Not that I can...
Ceausescu's scarf.
Oh, yes, I have. Well, I gave Ceausescu's shoes.
You've got Ceausescu's shoes?
Yeah. Actually, what have I got? No, I gave it away. I've got a mug that says, Islam, the future of Britain.
Wow.
And I've got another mug that says, Ku Klux Klan, the last hope for America. And I tell you what's slightly eerie, is that when the mugs go in the washing machines, like the UDF, the God and Ulster mug, faded straight away, first wash.
Really?
Ku Klux Klan mug faded.
Right.
Islam, the future of Britain.
Oh my God.
That mug hasn't faded at all.
Have you got a divining dishwasher? Your dishwasher can read the future.
Yeah, that can read, which, crazy extremist groups are going to rise.
We might as well get into Islam then. Me and Matt was dabbling with
a dishwasher.
Just clambering there, see if our belief system wears off. What's our belief system? We dabbled with Satanism for a little while. It had negative consequences. Yeah. I liked the Hare Krishnas quite a lot. Do you know anything about them?
I haven't really spent any time with them.
They're alright. They're just,
they seem
life's
kind of
meaningless.
Sweet but
transient.
Bit boring.
Bit boring.
Yeah, but I like them. I think they're a nice bunch. As long as
you've always gone on about them.
Oh no, I think
I've been dragged there.
I dragged him up to that temple
for the free meal at
George Harrison's mansion.
Yeah, he bought a nice mansion for him.
Very nice.
It was lovely. We had a lovely time there. Right, why don't we listen to some music? John, you stay with us. We've got to talk to Noel Gallagher. Trevor Locke we've sent out. We were examining the idea. We thought, we were talking about times where you've been in embarrassing situations because of your class. So perhaps you can, while this track's on, you can think of a nice example, class or embarrassing situation because of your class. Your book's strewn with situations where you're in awkward situations.
Okay,
so
I'll adapt to class.
Yeah, find a way of filtering it like that. But that dishwasher mayhem suggests to me you can divine truth in anything. Right then, let's listen to some music, Matt, then we'll come back. Noel Gallagher, little Trevor Locke out on his journey. Blimey, Radio 2, BBC. Detroit Cobras, listen to Russell Brand on BBC Radio 2. I'm here with Matt Morgan, who's pressing the buttons. Trevor Locke's out there doing an experiment on class, begging, dressed up all posh and doing some begging. We'll talk to him in a little while. John Ronson is our special guest in studio.
Oh.
Hello, John. Have you ever been out of place, on accounts of class or in an embarrassing situation or something?
Yes, I have.
Uh-huh.
Funny story. I was in a country house hotel, it's only a few weeks ago.
Right.
The soup wouldn't come.
Right.
Spent an hour waiting for it. Soup finally comes. I begin to eat it ravenously.
Oh.
My wife says, see that girl on the next table? It's a 14-year-old girl. She's mimicking the way you ate your soup.
That is embarrassing.
Yeah, and so we were out in the corridor, I went to the toilet. I was getting a bit annoyed about it. First I said, she's just 14, don't worry about it. And Elaine kept on about it, going, no, it's really rude. And finally she kind of filled me up with anger about it. She said when she did it to her parents smiled. And then we were out in the corridor, and I thought to myself, I thought to myself, I'm going to say something to her. You
saw the 14-year-old in the corridor?
Yeah, she was going to the toilet, I was coming back from the toilet. It was just the two of us, late at night in this hotel.
Serendipitous.
Yeah, I thought, I'm going to say something to her. And I thought, no, instead of saying something to her, I'm going to mimic her mimicking me.
Brilliant!
Yeah, and it's
mimic
perfect.
her back.
Yeah, so I looked her in the eye. I felt a bit nervous about it, thinking this is a bit combative. Yeah. But I'm going to do it. It's a perfect revenge. Looked her in the eye and just kind of rhythmically moved my hand up and down towards my open mouth.
To mimic the soup?
Yeah, to mimic her mimicking me eating soup.
Right.
And she looked really startled, and then it suddenly dawned on me, doing that, moving your hand up and down towards your mouth, is the universally recognised mime for oral sex.
Yes, it is.
So I was this 39-year-old man miming oral sex to a 14-year-old girl late at night in a hotel lobby.
Oh, my word,
So I got back to the table and my wife said, you look as white as a sheet. I said, can we get the bill?
Yeah, I think it's best you get out of there.
Yeah, so we did. I had to, what I immediately thought was I'm going to tell Elaine everything that happened, because if it ever gets to court, which it won't, if it ever does, it'll look really good.
Have to convince us, John.
It'll look good that I immediately went back to the
told
table
your wife.
and told my wife in a funny way.
A humorous story.
Yeah.
But it's that Chinese whispering of mimes. Initially, it was John Ronson eating soup badly, then a girl mimicked that, then before you know it, John Ronson's risking 10 years imprisonment. Trevor Locke is on the line. Trevor is doing a social experiment for us. Trevor, are you alright out there begging on the streets of London?
This is, it's a humiliating thing. I'm making a complete fool of myself, but people have been very kind to me, actually.
How much money have you got so far, Trevor?
I've got about £4.22. Well, exactly, £4.
That's pretty good. Reminder, about £4.22. John Ronson's here listening as well, Trevor, so please, for heaven's sake, don't embarrass us.
Trevor.
Trevor, so would you tell us what your sign says on it, the sign that you're using to beg?
It says, it's terribly embarrassing, but I'm short of a bob or two. Can you spare some change? That's what you told me to write.
Funny.
Are you cold, Trev?
I'm cold. I feel like a complete nincompoop. I think it's it's just awkward. It's
Alright, Trev, you're not Kate Adie. It's not difficult what you're doing.
Some people have been friendly.
Alright, go on, tell us that. Do a bit of begging now. Let's hear you do it. Go up to someone, Trevor, and beg off them.
I've met some people. I've got Tara. She gave... Well, what she did, she sold me. I had to get a cigarette from someone, and then I sold it to her for £1.20.
That's quite a good markup.
Yeah.
Trevor, are you using this as a social tool?
He's using the prison
Yeah, using
cigarettes.
Cigarettes. What are we really swapping next? Phone cards, Trevor. I hope you go and get stabbed with a shiv.
A Swiss banker called Yuri gave me £1.
That's very reasonable for a Swiss banker. Perhaps you could return some Nazi gold. No, okay, Trev. So,
give me his email address, sir.
All right, Trev. It sounds like you're doing quite well, but I'd like to actually hear you do some begging.
Okay, I'll do some now. Excuse me. I was wondering if you could spare some change. Do you have a spare room?
Trevor, that's not part of your remit. What? You're supposed to be cruising out there. Trevor, step away from that person.
What are you doing? Surely everyone's thinking that beggar's got a mobile phone.
Yeah, exactly. He's dressed in a suit as well.
Oh, I see.
The cash point's gone. Yeah. You want me to lend you some money?
Trevor,
I can lend you £4.
You've gone through the looking glass, Trevor. You're through the looking glass. Abort!
Fallen through the cracks of society. You'll never see him again.
You've got nothing.
Right, cut Trevor off. He's mad. Cut him off. Right, now, Trevor Lark's experiment is in my mind.
Don't let him know he's been cut off.
No, let him jabber away. Convince him we're all still listening to him. Right, Trevor will keep doing that for hours. He'll end up in prison, won't he?
He'll make a lot of money and then he'll lose it.
Yeah, of course he will. He'll squander it all, won't he? He'll gamble it all away. Right, okay, so why don't we listen to something? John Ronson's remaining with us. We're talking about his book, Out of the Ordinary. We'll have a chat with Noel Gallagher, who I imagine is incensed after Pete Boyle, Poet Laureate of Old Trafford, said that Oasis music was responsible for a decline in the standard of football chants, which made basically... Anyway, before Oasis, so where did they descend to? The language of the apes, an insult to Chomsky and his language-gene claims. Let's have some music, and then what we'll do, I just looked over to see if John Ronson was impressed by mentioning Chomsky, and he did look a bit impressed. Right, let's listen to some music, and then we'll talk to Noel Gallagher.
He was making a rude sign.
That's how he gets his interpreted. Give him some soup. I'll help prepare it, dear. We'll all give him some soup. Let's listen to Noel Gallagher. Who's that we was just listening to, Matt? Oh, you shambles. One time I let you come out. This is your selection.
King Curtis.
Memphis
Soul Stew.
You like it, 'cause
you
it's
normally
like a
say what
recipe,
song's
isn't it?
that, so...
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
It's good. It starts off as a recipe, and then goes wild.
Sounds like
the Muppet Show, everyone dancing around.
Sounds like when I met the aliens. So, this is to the tune of Jingle Bells. You know, like, we've been trying to get, like, chants written. I don't know if it's going to be any good. Like, this, I'm doing that thing where I don't check things before I read them out on the radio. This is from Luke Graves, and it's to the tune of Jingle Bells. Western boys at Upton Park today. Oh, what fun it is to lose on a cold and windy day. Western boys, relegation's on its way. No Argentinian superstars will come and save the day. Oh, Luke Graves, you spiteful fella, you've duped me. He's duped me into singing an anti-West Ham song, oh, you crafty devil. Good to hear you on Radio 2, says Stu in Charlton. Can you do a chant for Charlton? They really need something to help them at the moment. The swines love the show, and especially the gig in Dartford. Oh, well, that's nice. Thanks for coming to see me in Dartford, where I perform some stand-up comedy, what I do as a job. I bought you a DVD of mine, John Ronson.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I have that, mate.
Hey, go on.
That's mine. What? What's wrong with that, giving him my DVD?
Is that the worst Christmas ever? Got you my own DVD. Yeah, have that, mate.
It's nice to give him that. I thought you'd like it.
No, I'll be watching that.
Yeah, do have a look at it. Let me know what you think of it.
I heard you were very good on the amnesty. You and Sarah Silverman were the two very good people in the Albert Hall that night.
Yeah.
What did you say that was so funny?
Oh, loads of things. I do an analysis of, like, tabloid articles and the letters page out of the Sun, and did stuff sort of like the hysteria that surrounds certain kind of journalism. I think you'd like it. That stuff's much more solipsistic, navel-gazing, self-obsessed me, but it's really good.
I like that too.
Yeah, good, yeah, because your journalism is, your column in The Guardian is of that ilk. Yeah, see if you like that. Yeah. That's my DVD, that is. I made it out of my brain.
And when's it in the shops?
Thank you, Matt. Well, you can get that in the shops from Monday if you want it. Matt's in it as well on the extras, really good extras.
Yeah.
Not in a massage parlour way.
But you know, there's good self-absorbed and there's bad self-absorbed, right?
E.g.?
Well, I don't want to name the bad self-absorbed people.
Right.
But I think, you know, the self-absorbed in a kind of this weird and embarrassing or funny thing that happened to me might resonate with the listeners or readers.
Yeah.
And then there's I'm just really interested in myself.
Of course, because you think my self-obsession, like we're all human, so ultimately it may turn out to be universal. Yeah. I try to remember that in my introspection.
Sure you do.
I do have that. Isn't Noel Gallagher here? Right, this moment can be put off for not a second longer. We've been talking about him all show. He's been mentioned a lot. Let's find out if he's been listening. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you Noel Gallagher. Hello, Noel.
Good evening.
How are you? Are you alright?
I'm very well, and you?
Yeah, ever so well, mate. Have you been listening to our inaugural show on Radio 2?
Yeah, I've just turned it on about maybe 3/4 of an hour ago.
But don't sound so laissez-faire. We're trying our hardest. What bits did you hear?
It's a lot less boisterous, is it, than it is on a Sunday morning?
Is it? Less boisterous, you say?
You've turned into Whispering Russell Brand. Because you're on Radio 2 now.
Yeah, let's get used to things a little bit first, Noel. Let's understand the lie of the land a little bit, and then we can change the system from within.
Yeah, it's like you're all doing it by candlelight. Actually, yeah, listening to the radio on a Saturday night is like being in the war. I was sat there listening to my candlelight just talking absolute nonsense.
You're listening on the wireless, are you? Yeah, I tell you what, if you can't afford no stockings, just draw a line up the back of your legs. They'll do just as well. You'll be a sex bomb in no time.
You're a genius.
Thank you very much. I've been waiting a long while. Huh?
Did Cooper come up with that idea?
Cooper, my mobile telephone. See, that's an idea that's not made the transition. Right, let me tell Radio 2 listeners. If I try to send a text message from my phone, and I'm sure everyone thinks this, if I try and send a text message, right, and then the text message goes, message sending failed, I think that my mobile phone is like a good robot, like Kit the car in Knight Rider, trying to help me. And I think, don't send that message. Yes, you're right. I shan't send that message. It could have negative consequences. And Matt goes, you think it's a little robot called Cooper. Cooper! Brilliant! Yes, I shan't send anything.
You are the only person who thinks like that.
I'm not. We haven't found anyone else that thinks that.
John would be interested.
No, but the reason that it's funny, Matt, is because people can relate to it.
Yeah.
Well, what's yours called, Noel? What's your phone called?
Mine?
Yeah.
Ishmael.
Brilliant, Ishmael. No, I won't send that. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. So did you hear, Noel, that the poet laureate of Old Trafford there saying that the music of Oasis caused a dearth in the quality of football chants?
Yeah, but, Man United supporters have caused a dearth in the sartorial elegance of football supporters.
There we are. He
all
has
them being Ravi Shankars and all that.
Well done. We'll send one of his to the hospital, we'll send one of yours to the morgue. That's right. The Noel Gallagher way.
That's right, but what did he mean by that? I don't quite understand that.
I think he just, I don't know actually.
Because the people don't actually chant Oasis songs on the terraces anymore. There was a brief burst of Wonderwall once that I heard at Main Road.
How did it get used?
How did it get me?
How did it get used? Was it used to rhyme Alan Ball?
And there was, remember when we had that player Giorgio Kincladze?
Yeah.
And it sort of went, and all the goals that Kinky scores are blinding, and all the runs that someone else makes are winding, and after all, you're my Alan Ball. I hated Alan Ball.
Did you? They're using your own songs against you.
Ginger Midget. Doesn't get any worse, does it?
Oh, come on, right. Oh, no, we have to look after him. I remember now, Noel Gallagher, our concerns of having him on the radio. Have you ever had any situations, Noel, where you felt out of place on account of your class? Now you've accrued all this colossal wealth, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you thought, I'm only from Manchester, I don't deserve a duvet?
No, kind of the opposite, where I've been in places where people have invited me to and then they've gone like that. Why is this toe rag in here?
Yeah, you make everyone else feel uncomfortable.
He's bringing his own plastic bag full of Guinness with him.
Yeah, okay.
In cans or?
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Just a straw straight into the bag.
And a boiling pot of bacon.
It's lovely the way you live.
You can keep your canopies there, cock. Rock me on.
Yeah, they're bloody things, they're fiddly. Did I tell you what happened when I met your brother at that gig we'd done to raise money for Focus 12, the charity of which I'm a patron?
I done a gig, you done some brief ramblings in between everybody else's set.
Yeah, I had to come on. Right, I was comparing the night. Noel very kindly agreed to do a set along with Dirty Pretty Things and the Holloways. They were very much warm-up acts, as you can imagine, for the main event, Noel Gallagher. There was one bit where Noel swarmed off the stage because there was some fiddly problem, like his instrument didn't work. I didn't understand it. I had to go out there and fill time. It was ever so embarrassing in front of a load of Oasis fans who were like going, whoa, throwing me. I was going, I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. Don't try not to worry. He'll be along shortly. I'll go get him. It's because there's been a technical problem.
It was embarrassing.
Thankfully, I had some brilliant material about Terminator 2 and the danger of machines taking over our society and the Matrix. Now we've got to watch against robots and the machines against us.
And that went down like a knackered lift in front of a lot of Oasis fans.
That's a very interesting point. Perhaps the world is an illusion.
Yeah, call for this lager.
Yeah, and some of it wasn't lager even, Noel. Some of that lager-coloured liquid.
You were claiming it was urine, but
I think some of it was, as a matter of fact. Well, I don't know.
Think it was. I think it was just very, very weak lager beer.
I'd like to hope that you're correct.
But is that, you know John Ronson who's there?
Yeah, John Ronson.
Going on about David Icke. I went to see David Icke at Brixton Academy once.
Did you?
Did you?
I went to one of his 8-hour seminars, and a few of us, read his books, and we were all on the Persians. And we decided we were going to go and see him, and we sat through it. And it's right, as you're saying, all his theories are plausible, and then they just go, but don't mention the lizards. I'm having it all apart from the lizards.
You know, all the other conspiracy theorists think that he's like a shill working for them to make the whole thing seem nuts.
I've seen the documentaries on him where they reckon he's anti-Semitic and all that. It's very interesting. But
that was the one that I made. No,
that's John's documentary.
Yeah. When I went to Canada with him. Yeah, that was mine.
Oh, right. He signed one of his books for me, and he put on the inside. He put on it. What? Keep up the good music. Love, David Icke.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Not like fight the lizards, you know.
But he's funny, isn't he, David Icke? Because he does seem completely nice and normal, and he's still got that bit of Radio 1 in him, hasn't he? That sort of, sort of cheerful guy thing. Have you
ever? Well, you've obviously seen him do his thing.
Yeah, oh God,
but he slips into like these characters, doesn't he? Where he kind of gets all a bit Kenneth Williams and that, and you're just thinking, this is just turning into vaudeville now.
Well, he's like Dave Lee Travis, and he does do 8 hours. I remember one time we filmed him for the first 2 hours, and then we went off for dinner, and then we met some people in a restaurant and had a really nice night out, and then we sort of went back to the show. Just as David Icke was saying, okay, it's time for an interval, I'll be back in 20 minutes.
God, no, did you sit there for 8 hours?
We sat there for 6 3/4 hours.
Yeah.
And then we walked out on the bit where he was saying that he said all these walls of Brixton Academy are all holograms. If we wanted to, we could walk through these walls. And
you should have given it a little try.
I once...
Go on, then.
That's how they look.
Yeah. I once
said,
met
can I? Because I'm trapped in the... And he was actually just probably reciting the script from the film The Matrix. He was calling it The Matrix, and it's like, well, hang on a minute, you're just reciting the script here from The Matrix.
Sounds alright, I'd like to see
his list of people who are lizards as well. It's a really weird list.
Yeah, Chris Christopherson.
Yeah.
Ted Heath is a big one, apparently.
Ted Heath.
The Queen Mother was the ruler.
The Queen Mother, absolutely. Hillary Clinton, but not Bill Clinton.
Yeah, well...
Why would a non-lizard ever marry a lizard in that way?
That I don't know.
The marriage would be flawed.
But also, then why did he even bother trying to do Chris Christopherson's lizard genealogy in the first place? What gave him a clue that Chris Christopherson and Butts
I've got my suspicions about Chris Christopherson. He's not in a position of power, is he? He's not going to do any real damage.
Yeah. No, but that's just... Obviously, he's got a personal vendetta against Chris Christopherson. Because, I mean, who is Chris Christopherson anyway? Some old country and western geezer, the new
goalkeeper of Coventry. I think he's probably a lizard. There's a lot of lizards.
It's interesting about the walking through walls. I recently interviewed the head of military intelligence, US military intelligence, and he thought he could walk through his wall.
Oh, I read that book.
Yeah.
The Men That Stare at Goats.
Men That Stare at Goats. He thought...
Oh, yeah, I've read that book, The Men That Stare at Goats.
Oh, glad to hear that.
See, I was reading John's books. Yeah.
But, his logic, General Stubblebine, his logic was that the atom is made up mostly of space, and the wall is made up mostly of atoms, so all you have to do is merge the spaces. I mean, to me, the key word in this, by the way, is mostly, right?
Yeah.
There's a membrane in the atom. And so he just kept bumping his nose. This guy had 16,000 soldiers under his command.
Oh, blimey, that's a bit worrying that he's got that kind of power. I believe there's nothing really wrong with nicking countries and that, if you do need the fuel. Yeah, that is a bit worrying.
Hey, Noel, can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
I might be misremembering, but do you remember an occasion, I mentioned this earlier, I don't know if you were listening, when you saved the life of a dog that I was looking after at Albert Square, Manchester?
What was the dog's name?
Roger.
How would you remember it by the dog's name, Noel?
The dog's name was Roger. He belonged to the...
Listen, I don't meet many dogs, so this one is indelibly... It's what's the word? Branded into my brain, this fella.
Not that
little yappy Yorkshire Terrier eventually went blind and died, but that was many years later.
How did I save his life? What did I do?
What happened was, I was looking after it. It was the Inspiral Carpet that you were roadieing, and it was the man from Del Monte that I was looking after.
Right.
And the singer in the man from Del Monte said, can you look after my dog, John? So I put him on top of the speaker stack and sort of tied him up. And then Roger immediately jumped off the speaker stack and was hanging in the air. And you ran across Albert Square and put the dog gently back on the speaker stack and then shot me a look as if to say, do you know how to look after dogs?
Keys. It don't sound like the Noel Gallagher that I know.
Oh, no, but see, I was just going to butt in there. I was just going to say that, you see?
We're in tune,
Well, now you've got this whole kind of, persona of, sort of you see a dog, give it a smack. But back then...
No, hang on a minute.
I'm only kidding,
So that's just brand, right, referring to me for the last 8 months on his on his obviously doomed slot on Radio 6.
Dude, we've been elevated. Promotion, this
is. Some super yob, like one of Slade or something. But actually, what did you refer to me last week in your column in the Guardian
article? I think I might have said something flattering, because I didn't imagine for a minute you would buy the Guardian, Noel.
Well, no, I mean, no, well, not the fact that you text me every Friday and say, you should read my column in the Guardian tomorrow.
Oh, that's
It's quite good. Have you got a column yet, Matt? Everybody else seems to have. Have you got one?
No. I once had a bit of Russell's column, but it was taken away from me.
Well, apparently, by the sounds of things in that studio, the Guardian will give a column to any old Tom Dick and Harry.
You'll never get a column. It'll be a cold day in hell when you're accepted in the Fleet Street. Stop it. Don't go into being a boastful, dizzy millionaire Willy Wonka of Fleet Street character. Right, okay, so listen, we've got to wrap up this radio show quite soon.
What do you mean dizzy?
Some part dizzy, part giddy. It's nice sort of bit of lingo. Right, so listen, let's thank everybody that's contributed to this radio show. John Ronson, you've been wonderful. Trevor Locke is not back from doing that experiment. We can only assume that he's been killed doing an experiment where he was just trying to work out whether he was amorphous and could cross class boundaries from being a sort of middle class fella to being a beggar.
He'll end up in Stringfellows with that money.
Yeah, of course he will. He's got £4.22. He'll be dropping coppers into girls' knickers, which a great change from the way he lives his life usually, the poor sausage. Right, so thanks Trevor Locke, he was wonderful. I wish he was back here. Matt, you've been wonderful on our first show. What other guests we had? Pete Boyle was brilliant. Matt and Dave out of Little Britain, they were brilliant. So thanks very much for listening to our radio programme. We'll be back next week. What theme should we discuss? John, Noel, help us to think of a theme for next week, because we've got, like, then people can contribute. John?
Do something topical.
Topical, something topical. Right, okay, watch the papers next week. We'll do something right topical. Look at the topics that are dominating the news, and that will be what we'll be discussing on next week's show for Noel Gallagher.
Let's discuss how many lizards would have been at Tom Cruise's wedding.
Don't say things like that. That's probably libelous. Those are not the views of Radio 2. They're probably not the views of Noel Gallagher.
They're my views.
He's showing off. They're not your views. You're being very, very silly. You're a talented man. Why'd you do this to yourself? Right, okay, our radio show's over now, isn't it?
1 minute.
We've got 1 minute of pure radio. Right, well, I'd like to say, right, so send in football charts to us. We need to do that. Buy John Ronson's book. Noel Gallagher's got a Best of Oasis thing coming out. Don't need promoting. Buy that if you want it.
Stop the clocks. Got them anyway.
Yeah, you'll have them anyway. Trevor Locke's just come back to the studio. Are you alright, Trevor?
Oh, it's cold out there.
How much money did you get?
I've raised money for that charity that we wrote those poems for.
Focus 12.
No, that was the other one, the homeless charity.
Give it to Focus 12.
Well,
the junkie charity that I'm a patron of.
Okay.
Alright then, or you can give it to that homeless one. Well, Trevor, Trevor, John Ronson and Noel Gallagher's on the line as well. Look at them introducing each other. Anyway, well, thank you very much for listening to our inaugural Radio 2 show. Thank you, Noel, for coming on it. Thank you all our guests. Continue. What did you just say?
He's muttering.
Don't mutter, Noel. You're
I just said it's a pleasure.
Oh, right, thanks. Oh, you're a lovely man, really. Right, and thanks. Send us more football chants and send us your views on stuff. And next week we'll talk about conspiracies. Conspiracy ideas. Let's talk about that. John Ronson. Perhaps John will come back.
I'll come back.
John Ronson will be back here next week. Noel Gallagher will be back. God knows what Trevor Locke's experiment will be. Trev, you've got to start a cult.
Brilliant one.
Have you?
I've got a brilliant one. It's online this week. Go to my MySpace, fellas.
Go to Trevor's MySpace. So yeah, I'm glad you said fellas, because normally you use it to recruit girlfriends. Okay, that is the end of our Radio 2 show. Thanks for listening. What's on next on Radio 2? God knows. What's up? Bob Harris! Yeah. Whispering Bob Harris will be on. Oh, that's exciting. Alright, so, yeah, you've been listening to 88 to 91 FM. This is Radio 2 from the BBC. Thanks, everyone. Boy, I love you, boy!